Ready, Josh? All right. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board for Port Richey. Today is June 10th. It is now 1:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Sean Poole.
Here.
Member Randy Stout.
Here.
Member Lori Simpson. Here. Member Michael Ferez. Let the record show that Member Ferez is absent from today's meeting. Member Ronald McDonald. Let the record show that Member Ronald McDonald is absent from today's meeting. Alternate Member Matt Douglas.
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Maya.
Here.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions or concerns or discussion regarding the board minutes from 12:10, 1:16, and 2:11? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a motion to accept both of those minutes.
Okay.
Dates.
All right. All three.
There's three.
Yeah. Okay.
All 3 minutes.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right. There's no general public here. Any other comments from anybody on the board regarding this stuff besides what we're going to talk about for signs? Okay. Fantastic. Miss Nancy, you have the floor.
All right. I sent you our latest version of the sign ordinance. I've narrowed it down to just a few things. I'm going to first take you to page 25. Where this is the section 121-3 where it has signs that are specifically prohibited within the city. I was asked to remove some of those. I have removed activated signs and vehicle signs on that page. Activated signs, you can see up to the side there, I sent you to a new section, which we'll get to, which is the language regarding digital signs. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Then your very next page, page 26, we removed roof signs. And then window signs are changed to read the window signs that do not comply with section 121-4.9, which we'll get to in a minute, are not allowed. Okay. Then if you go to page 28, number 9, it should be highlighted. That talks about window signs. Based on the notes I wrote, I think this is what you guys wanted, but if it is not, tell me and we can still obviously modify it.
Okay, now.
Page 28 would be highlighted number 9.
Let's see. There.
No, we went from 8 to 10.
If I thought 9. I saw that there was some kind of weird copying, but let me read it to you. It says window signs. When the sign covers 50% or less of the window, you're allowing that.
Okay.
And I think that's what we talked about. We talked about some different definitions and some different percentages, and I think that's where you fell. So right now, currently it says window signs which comprise an aggregate 25% of the total window area or less. We're now changing that to say window signs when the sign covers 50% or less of the window.
I don't see it in my packet. I don't believe that.
It looks like for some reason on the packet, I noticed some things are missing, and I don't know why. The ordinance has it. I don't know if it was copied, it scrunched something out or not. I don't know why. Yeah, see that it goes from 8 to 10. But I can tell you, I'm looking at the actual draft of the ordinance, and there is a number 9.
Okay.
And it now says window signs when the sign covers 50% or less of the window. And the next on page 30. 17, it talks about sandwich signs, and you wanted to add language that they can only have the signs out there during business hours.
Right.
I also wondered, I saw this in another code I was working on for unrelated reasons, but they the language also mentioned bringing it in during bad weather. I didn't know if you wanted to add something like that. Assume people will do that on their own. You know,
Yeah,
That's a big assumption.
I know. So I just want to throw that out there. We
I
can
would let it just
leave
handle itself.
sign's going to fly away. You're never going to see it again. You know, you might not let that happen. But for now, I've only added the language about the signs can only be displayed during operating hours.
Okay.
Then your next, go to page 31. Under 121.9A2, it addresses illuminated signs, and I didn't know what you wanted to do with that, if anything, considering the language you're about to add for digital signs. Under 121.9A, if you look at that whole section, this is talking about signs both in residential and non-residential areas. The digital signs are specifically to non-residential. I mean, it doesn't say non-residential, it's commercial establishments. So it's not. I'm worried that leaving the illuminated sign in 121.9A2 is going to cause some confusion. So I don't know if you want to remove it. I don't know if you'd like to move it maybe to 121.9B, where it talks just about residential.
I would suggest moving it to B. There'll be somebody that finds a loophole. Rest of the board,
Understand the
agree with that idea?
I'm not following it. All of the yellow highlighted.
So the paragraph. So we're about to get to a section where you're going to add a lot of language about digital signs for commercial establishments.
Okay.
This language is already in your code. The paragraph 2 that's highlighted on page 31, and it's talking about some specifications for illuminated signs. This currently in this section is addressing both in residential and non-residential areas.
The biggest part of that is it's inclusive of neon, and I think that's why we need to keep it.
Yeah.
So I would suggest we move it to B, 121.9B.
And that's what was my thought. So it would address the residential part, and commercial is going to be handled in a bigger section.
Absolutely. Lori?
Yeah, we would agree.
Matt?
You follow it?
I was showing him where it's at.
Okay.
We're suggesting moving it down to 121.9B. So instead of getting rid of it altogether.
The eliminated paragraph.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because I'm concerned that because it specifically addresses neon, whereas digital will not.
Yeah, it's kind of love's better than.
Randy?
Yeah. Okay.
Good with that?
Perfect.
All right. And now for the last part, but the big part. Page 34 begins about page and a half of new language regarding digital signs. This did come from the Pasco County language we looked at last time.
Perfect.
Theirs is much longer. They had language specific to different areas of their jurisdiction, which were not relevant. So this, take a look at it, read it. I have no personal thoughts, no love for it, no hate for it. Just let me know what you want.
We have a definition of digital signs.
It's that page there will
Is it?
it should tell you exactly what you're allowed to do.
I'd like to get cooperation. This is probably something off the cuff. And I just thought about it because the city manager walked in. He and I were at a meeting this week, earlier this week for Pasco County regarding the evacuation routes and all that. I'd like to see if we can kind of put something in place where we can get cooperation with those residents that businesses that put digital signs in the city, in the event of a catastrophic event, something like this, or evacuation required, that we can actually utilize their boards to be able to put city, messages on them if possible.
I feel like there's something in here about that. Maybe.
Kind of a partnership thing. So like Culver's right there on the corner right there at Ridge and 19, right there, the city of Port Richey is under, evacuation notice. Please do your best to secure your belongings and find your way out of the city, basically. So I think it would behoove us to try to get them to kind of work with us. We went so far as to change the code to help you guys make sure you have your illegal sign Culver's, your illegal sign catches, and make them so now they're legal. So now you can go ahead and move forward.
So paragraph 4 kind of sort of talks about that. I think what you're asking me may want to go one step further. Paragraph 4 says digital displays shall not be configured to resemble a warning or danger signal and shall not resemble or simulate any lights or official signage used to control traffic unless at the direction of the city for a public service announcement, government declared emergency. So I think it's telling them they can do that at the city's request, but you may want to go a step further and have those agreements in place. That would be something the city could look into with those.
I mean, is there legal ramifications for us to approve their permits moving forward by asking for that permission?
Well, we're not going to approve it for that reason. We're saying it's allowed.
Sure.
And we're going to ask
But making a caveat
to do.
during the actual process.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I'm
like
sure people would be fine doing
Sure.
that. And it's in here that's a possibility. So I think you're fine.
Okay.
So it's kind of addressed.
Any questions regarding the verbiage, guys? And I'll go around Robin, Matt,
Thanks. So,
It's a lot.
digesting.
I mean, a lot of these digital.
it's the yellow highlight.
Yeah.
Throwing me
Oh,
off.
I'm sorry. I'll use maybe blue next time. Maybe it'll be easier to read.
On billboards, a lot of them they change the. Is that
It's addressed
It's
in
addressed in
here.
there. They have
How quickly they're allowed to do that. I think it's 15 seconds.
Number 2. Yeah, it's 15 seconds. Shall be at least 15 seconds. Because we don't want it flashing constantly.
Yeah.
I think Pastor County was 30 seconds, wasn't it?
This is exactly what
Is
they
it?
had. Yeah, I didn't change it.
That's good.
The number 6 about the intensity of the light, it only pertains to a driver. So what if you're sitting in your living room and there's a light blaring in your living room window, one of these signs?
Driving
Would that be
safety,
a reason to complain?
I'm trying to think where a
This is commercial, so with
residential area touches that where we have to have that as a problem. Lori?
I think almost commercial
I mean,
commercial
like,
area in the city, it can be seen by residential, I would think. Almost everywhere. I thought it was going to be okay, said at the discretion of the city, basically, but then it said to a driver, so it's only specific to a driver.
Well, it's safety related. I can see that. Why it says they impair the vision of the driver. The discussion during the meeting was when they were talking about when a car goes by and stares at it for like so many seconds,
Right.
That kind of thing.
I don't know if this helps with that question, but there is a provision already in your code, 121, actual pages on page 32, paragraph C. It talks about standard for on-site signs in non-residential districts, and it indicates that non-residential districts that abut residential districts, the signs cannot be closer than 10 feet from the residential zoning district. I don't know if 10 feet helps you. I don't know.
That's not the light.
I'm throwing it out there. That's the only thing I found.
Brightness is number 7.
It talks more about
The brightness is automatic.
I guess the biggest question I have for you there, Randy, that is, we need an example where you think this would be an issue. Like you thinking, say, from Hooters to Miller Bayou or the river, putting a digital sign on the back of the building. Is that what you're thinking?
I don't. It could be that. It could have a digital spotlight or something. I don't know. I'm just. I understand the reason why you would want to protect the driver, but it just seems like the overall to keep. In number 7, it talks about adjusting the brightness according to the ambient light.
Right.
It kind of hints like that maybe could be abused a little bit. There's nowhere does it control the brightness of
Does
it.
number 8, it seems to me, and I'm being very honest, as I always am with you guys, I don't really understand exactly all these like foot candles and all this language in here. But does number 8 help with that? Because it seems to me number 8 is trying to say there's only a certain amount of, when it says use the word like light trespass, I think that's what they're trying to control, that how far it's going. Now, I don't know if that
probably does it.
is
I don't
good
know how
enough,
bright that is
because I
either,
can't
at least
explain that to you from a scientific perspective.
Well, I mean, you got the
But they
formula
have
on
something
there.
in there. That's good.
Yeah, the formula says it on here, how you determine a foot candle measurement.
I think that might be what that's trying to capture.
It'd be a fun test to do.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That is all for the sign code, believe it or not.
I'm going to go back to digital real quick.
Yes.
Let's go around there again. Matt, questions, concerns on digital?
No, I think it's good.
Randy, you're good now?
I'm good.
Lori? I think it's very well done. Bravo.
Thank you, Pasco County.
Hey.
Hey, don't recreate the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Don't recreate the wheel if it works just fine.
All right. So that's not it for the sign code. The other thing I brought to you, this was discussed last time, was addressing the signage language and the WOD. So I've given you an ordinance. If you go to your page 58, subsection H, I've eliminated the 2 things we talked about. Make sure that's what you still want to do, or if there's any other changes you want to make. Yes.
I think it's fine. The key was the square footage. Did we modify it? And correct me if I'm wrong, my brain's kind of not remembering. Did we modify anything regarding murals? I remember we had a conversation regarding murals.
No. There was a provision. It came up because there was back at the sign code, there's a section that, I think it's the very last section, that basically says these aren't regulated because they're not signs. It's talking about artwork.
As long as it can be.
Yeah.
So we don't regulate them at all. We don't require any permitting for murals.
Not under this sign code. I don't know that anywhere else in the code if it addresses it or not. I think there was some stuff in different zoning areas that talked about it, if I remember correctly, but I don't hold me to that. But I think the only reason we talked about it was it said artwork, and that concerns somebody, and artwork as a mural is different than a mural used for a commercial purpose.
Correct.
So that was the conversation.
It's very subjective. I know Newport Richey is very, very big on it in certain districts, like for instance the downtown overlay district. I own a building downtown, and they actually tried to find me for the mural that was on the building before I bought it, which that was interesting. So they're very controlling of what they do in their district. I wonder if you'd be maybe add some verbiage or look into verbiage specifically for the Waterfront overlay district, as opposed to building up a 5-story condominium complex, for instance, and the entire side of it's the gigantic painting of whatever God knows it being.
I would suggest that go to council for discussion to see if that's something they're interested
Perfect.
in, and then if they
Can
are,
we make that recommendation that they have that
I'll
conversation?
bring it up with them. I mean, there's a couple listening to us,
Yeah.
but we can bring it up with them, and they can see if that's something they're interested in, and then they can
Kick it back to us.
kick it back to
Kick
you.
it back to us, yeah.
To actually draft some language if that's something that they
Okay.
want to do. I see your point though. Yeah, make some pretty buildings,
Right.
just big buildings.
Okay. Any questions regarding the change in the waterfront overlay district? Matt?
No, it's good to see the sign shall be made a natural wood comment taken out. I wonder how old that's been in there.
It's been there a long time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Randy?
Well, I thought we had talked about pole signs that are on their way out, and you're just talking about pole signs. I'm confused by that.
Number 2.
Number 2, H2.
Yeah.
Just,
Pole support.
Yeah, we had discussed
I remember talking about it,
changing the verbiage to,
because right now pole signs are not allowed.
okay, so what does that mean? H2.
they're not allowed.
No.
Okay.
They're,
Any moving forward.
Yeah, that's what.
Right. Monument signs only moving forward.
so let's see.
All right. Also, that needs to be eliminated. I didn't hear that. When was that?
The code currently, we didn't change it. The code currently doesn't allow for pole signs. But then this portion apparently addresses pole signs.
We have both sides.
Yeah,
But
because
your
it
code-
talks about it needs
yeah.
to be decorative.
So how do you want to reword that?
But I think you can put pole signs or you don't.
Yeah, so if we want to leave pole signs as an option for the waterfront overlay district, we need to rewrite the beginning of the sign code, which right now says pole signs are prohibited. You could have them prohibited.
I would personally say no to pole signs moving forward in general.
So we could just remove, so in the WOD, we could just remove the reference to pole signs.
Especially,
So this section we're in, we're talking about the waterfront district.
Yes, this
Correct.
is waterfront district only.
yeah, especially in that area, I think pole signs should be, if they're there, obviously they're there, but if they're moving forward any new development, we don't want pole signs. They're not pretty.
I agree. I would try to be as consistent as we can,
Yes.
water district or not.
Go with monument signs only. So I think just take that verbiage out completely.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. It addresses how large the sign can be, how high it can be.
Right. Whereas I'm sure monument signs we have the rest of the code. Same thing.
I was going to bring up pole signs just today. I'm just concerned. I drove around and I never thought about pole signs very much.
And now you see them everywhere, don't you?
And it's like 99% maybe of all those signs out there are pole signs.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned, are we creating a big problem or
Again, nothing. We're not. If the sign now, your code doesn't allow for pole signs. It never did. So
never did?
at least as long as I don't know when this was originally drafted, but as long as we've been working on this, pole signs were not allowed. Obviously, people use them.
Even like
So they-
the Fort Richey sign on Ridge Road, right?
People Richey needs to get their act together.
With 2 poles.
So my guess is a lot of that may have predated even when the original part was written. No, do I expect code enforcement to go out there and start slapping pole sign code violations? But they could, because if by right you couldn't have it, you couldn't have it. But moving forward, if they come in and ask for, if they ask for something that includes a pole sign, they should be told they can't have a pole sign
So
for our code.
there's lots of pole signs that are kind of ready to pull down. Like that.
And if there is provisions in here to allow code enforcement to go and tell them to get rid of that, they can be cited for.
Are we providing anything in all this language about code enforcement as far as helping code enforcement, make it easier for them? Or
It can never make it easier for them. I mean, it's in there that I have to find the section. There's a section in here that talks about abandoned signs and signs in disrepair that they can, code enforcement can cite people for that. It's just a matter of obviously code enforcement getting to it and seeing it.
I think the best way to help code enforcement is to do what we're doing right now and code as much as possible so there is no wiggle room, so to speak. So, and this is only moving forward in any kind of new development. So, especially in the overlay district, as they knock buildings down, which will be coming to fruition eventually as developers move through, it will change moving forward. So, for instance, Seaside, when somebody finally buys up that corner of that poor building that's there, and build a new one, that pole sign will have to come down and have to be replaced with a with the correct monument sign. I think we just strike that part from there.
So I'm just going to leave this under signage. You'll have paragraph 1 will stay. Paragraph 2 will be the area of the signboard shall not exceed 25 square feet, nor shall it exceed 10 feet in height.
Perfect.
And then number 3 will stay the same, and that will be it for that section.
Lori?
Yeah, because on page 25, 13, or 25, it says 121-3, it says prohibited. It does say both sides.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it was written in the, things like that.
I know.
They were going for a certain look, I think, when they wrote the W and stuff.
Lori, questions, concerns?
Um,
Matt?
Good.
Brady?
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, do we have any questions or concerns from the public? Any public comment?
As we all stare at them.
They stare at them all. Mr. Hoover?
8703 Green Street. Going back to the digital signs, and public comment then, so I just make a comment on that. So the new sign out in Port Richey, it has motion in it. I know this came from Pasco. I was going to question if you guys looked at Nancy specifically, if you looked at Newport Richey sign code, but they do have motion on there, and I think there's changes about every 11 seconds. So that's a brand new sign right there on 19.
In the city of New Orchard?
Their new sign, their digital sign around front there. I'm not sure what their code says, but their sign does that. It has motion, and it's not it's not detract. It doesn't really detract, but I don't want to limit our capability here. Right down the road, they're doing it, and the government's doing it, so that might be a contention. On the pole sign specifically, again, there's several of them out there. I get the need to possibly change the look, but my focus would be business friendly, and there's a good cause to have pole signs. I hate to outlaw them altogether, even though the code currently does that. So, I mean, from my perspective, I would kind of look at that and see, do we really want to limit that, or do we maybe want to just tailor what kind of pole signs we want to allow, as opposed to just outlaw them altogether? Because the majority of them do use poles, and they don't all look that bad. And like I said, our waterfront, when you come across a bridge, catch a sign. If that was a monument sign on the ground, you probably wouldn't see it.
Correct.
So there's a reason to have pole signs for visibility. We want to make sure that people are knowing where they're at. So that's all my comments I had.
Well, can we address that with the roof sign? I don't remember we talked about it. I don't remember what happened.
So we took that provision out.
Yeah.
As a
Right.
correct.
So maybe like that, maybe like the catches, they got a big pole sign, but just put a sign under it if they don't already.
Which they do.
I remember, when there was the 2008 crash and then COVID, all the businesses were fighting for their lives. And businesses were really fighting to struggle. And so I know Pinellas County looked the other way when they put the pole flags out during that time, because people were really struggling to survive.
Oh, the feather flags?
Yeah, but they had to have them in when they weren't when it wasn't business hours. So
They're more talking about the fixed signs.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like telephone poles kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. I was confused.
So I know that there's, for a case, for example, and I understand where Eric is coming from completely, right? I mean, especially as you come over the bridge. As you come over the bridge, if catches didn't have that sign there, especially a monument sign that was less than 10 feet tall, you wouldn't see it until you passed it, right? If you saw it at all. Unless, of course, the roof sign was legal and you see that, which was not lit up for the longest time. I think it's actually working again. But there's a case for it if you look at other coastal cities that have that vibe, right? So the islands, for instance, Madeira Beach, Indian Rocks, all those places, Treasure Island, they've got away from it on any new development. But they've done the same thing. They've incorporated the roof signs so you're able to capture it, but it makes it more aesthetically pleasing. I think the key to that is the Waterfront Overlay District is such a unique thing. It's been, God love it. It's been there. It's been trying to be a unique thing for many, many years. And we just gotta have to craft it correctly because it's the Wild West. I mean, everybody loved Guild Dogs, but it didn't comply with anything we originally designed. So, I mean, Ryan has a great plan with what he's trying to do there now, and hopefully the developers will see that. And I think we can make it really special, and that's the key, right? If you go to Pinellas County and you look at John's Pass, they had those gigantic monument signs as well. But I mean, those pole signs. But many of them were destroyed during the last hurricane. And I was just there the other day selling condos down there, and they're gone. And now they've switched to roof signs just like we had for Catches, and it looks fantastic. So I think there's got to be a happy medium, and we would need to request that council look into that for us and figure out what they think is fair and what's best. So that's just my 2 cents. Just because I'm passionate about overlay district, because I've been here 25 years, and God, I want to see it develop finally.
Right now, if we say no pole signs and somebody like up by the bridge or something, it's just the only way they can do it, then they can still come state their case for an exception, I would think, right? Or try to get us to change the rules
I think we could.
for them.
That'd be a variance, right?
I think there's language in your code that doesn't allow for variance.
Okay.
So it'd have to be a change in the code.
Which is funny because the code doesn't allow it now.
Right.
Because right now, we wouldn't know how to write it to approve it in the first place.
Correct, because we don't allow
If
it.
somebody comes with us a special need, we relook at it.
That's an interesting one.
That's something on. That's basically.
It almost would be advantageous, and of course, that'd be the city manager's office's job. But I think we almost have advantageous to poll the business owners within the Waterfront Overlay District and ask them what their thoughts are moving forward as far as development is concerned. How would they like it to look?
Yes. Yes to that. The
You hear what I
variance.
said? Okay, I said it would almost be advantageous. We can approve. I mean, we can suggest to approve the rest of it, but as far as the overlay district, I think we need to kind of dig a little further. Be almost like Randy was saying; it would almost be advantageous for us to have the city manager's office or the city in general poll the business owners that are in the overlay district and ask them what their thoughts are moving forward for development. Right. So, obviously, Catches and Hooters have signs that have been there. They've lasted through every hurricane so far. We don't want to change what they've got existing, right? But as buildings change and develop, what would they like to see? Are they on board with us? That, hey, you know what? Let's kind of modify it where we allow these decorative roof signs. I mean, obviously, Hooters has got the largest one probably in all of Pasco County, but I think it would be advantageous to have that conversation. Poor city manager. He's like, I just got here and they're trying to give us more work to do. So
I've got to take this call.
what do you think, Lauren?
Well, I mean, I think that the developer is going to want to pick what kind of signs they're allowed to have to fit with the theme.
Right.
I mean, the shops might have different ideas, but I think it's all going to blend together.
I think that's why you have to lay that groundwork.
We have to kind of
You have to kind of give that.
guide
This is what the city sees within certain parameters. I think otherwise you're going to have what you're worried about, which is this developer wants one look, this one wants a different look, this one wants a different look, and we have.
So can we table the Waterfront Overlay District part of it so we can come back to that?
As long as the city manager knows what his job.
I mean,
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. And we can take it to council, let them know you discussed it, and this is what you're asking, that there be more.
I think we just need more guidance on how to manage that. I mean, the overlay district is such a unique thing. I don't want to misstep. It's obviously they don't allow it currently. So if we're going to consider allowing it, then we need to figure out how they guide us through that process. So the rest of it looks fantastic. So
to answer the question about variance, your code, what will be added to your code, new proposed language is that the only variance would be from setbacks. You don't get to say, I know we're not supposed to have a pole sign, but this is my reason for wanting one. That currently the way the proposed language is written, it would not be able to do that. But if there was a setback issue, you could request a variance for that.
Okay.
And then the question about Newport Richey, the only thing I can find in their code is a section about illumination, and it's very brief. It doesn't have any time limits on anything.
So they're less restrictive than we are.
Yeah,
We're
it's
looking at it.
the gist of it is, don't cause a traffic hazard. Has some light source and wattage restrictions. It's much shorter. So I mean, it's up to you. You don't have to leave, like if you have in here, you have the 15 seconds, you can leave that, you can change it. It's just the way in Pasco County. And I'm assuming the goal of that is it's allowing change, but not so fast that
It's distracting.
it's distracting. So if you're fine,
Eric is saying that one was it's motion activated. Is that correct? You were saying that sign in Newport Richey is motion activated, as in you
Not motion activates. No, it rolls through different signs.
Okay.
But there's transition effects.
Okay.
If you drive by, you can see it.
Messages.
Yeah. So the way the code that you had in here is basically static images, like PowerPoint change, and actually
So
they
you're
actually
saying
have transitions
they can use
to it,
transitions or even video.
and they even have somewhat of video. The sign itself has motion in it, which would be allowed in this code here.
this is it's static
Ours is
only.
static images.
Yeah, shall not have illumination that moves, appears to move, blinks, fades, rolls, shines, dissolves, flashes, scrolls, show animated movement or change in light intensity during the static display.
That explains the digital billboards in Pasco County then. Whereas you go to Hillsborough County, they actually do have video on them.
Okay, so that's something to think about. If you don't want it static, we can.
Well, we don't want to tie their hands like Eric was saying.
Hey, Nancy.
Yes.
Andrew was asking a question about so the county code.
Mhm.
The city we aren't bound to use that at all. It's not like we can make that more restrictive. But like
We can do our own.
Yeah,
We can do our
totally
own.
separate. So they're
Yeah,
their own
we
municipality,
just
if you will.
we knew they had recently drafted language for this topic, so we just used it.
I just thought if Newport Richey's got a sign changing every 11 seconds, I thought they needed to follow the 15 seconds. It's just for unincorporated county.
Mhm.
The county rule applies.
Yes.
Sorry.
So you can do whatever you want within limits of federal and state law.
Yeah, So just because Newport Richey is just right up against us, I would suggest that we look at their sign code.
And I did find it's very brief. There's not much to it.
I'd be more apt to adopt something closer to that than the county. Just
Yeah, I was just saying that you're discussing. I know in Hillsborough County, their digital billboards allow video. Pasco County does not. It's all static images. The only reason I know is we just bought a billboard just recently.
If I send you something, could you print it quickly for them to see? I'm going to send Ashley a copy of Newport Richey's ordinance. It's 6 paragraphs, and they're very short. And then you guys can just look at it. And we can just maybe have that conversation, right?
Okay.
Versus punting this again and coming back.
Because that's the only area of contention for the most part.
Yeah.
Digital signs.
Well, should we change it from 15 seconds to 11 seconds to match what?
Well,
Their
let's read
code
what
doesn't
theirs has
even-
no
It doesn't
time limit.
specify.
That's just
Okay.
that's probably that particular one. That's just what they've done.
Okay.
It doesn't want to cooperate with me here.
I mean, from a time frame perspective, you're not going to have somebody come in there and be like boom, 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 because it's not going to be effective, right? That makes sense to do that. So it's probably why they didn't address it. But obviously, there's a time frame that's optimal that you can actually get your point across. And like I said, 11 seconds, maybe 15 seconds is probably fine. They just have 11, and I don't know that I might be counting it may be 10. But yeah, I did the 1,000, 2, 1,000. It was different than I think the original conversation you guys had was like 30 or 60 seconds, which was a very long time.
Right. It's forever.
I don't necessarily see a problem with 15. I'm not sure how long of the time at the stoplights are they.
Depends what light it is, right?
Is it all different, I guess.
I mean, you can sit at Ridge Road. If you're going southbound, you can sit at that light for a minute. You know,
I mean, you can make
Main
cases.
Street and 19 Light.
I don't think anything less than 10 seconds
Oh, wait, yes.
would be even viable. So,
It's not advantageous for the business at that point,
Yeah.
right?
so I think a minimum of 10 seconds. Maybe 15 is too long. You go to
Might
10.
take a minute.
If I can read it to you, but I don't comprehend what people read to me, so it's better if I read it myself. So I think it'll be easier if you guys read it. But it's short. It won't take long to read at all. It's quite different. I'm not saying, again, not good or bad. It addresses the big thing like driver safety, traffic safety, but it's quite different.
I've been studying what a foot candle is.
Nice.
See, we learn something new every day.
We have our illumination expert now.
Yeah. I've seen the term FC a lot. That's what it means. FC is foot candle.
Do we have a specific overlay district committee now? Again, we don't. Yeah, that was a short-lived committee. I think it literally lasted like 90 days. We had one meeting.
You tack it on you.
I mean, what we're doing should be encompassing of that anyway, right? So I didn't even understand the reasoning for it, other than the fact they wanted to. When we first did it, the idea was to create a series of workshops to get the city involved. Lori probably remembers it. It was like 20 years ago, right? When we did that, and we had all these wonderful plans and stuff like that mine didn't survive the storm. So, but we had spent a couple $100,000 for this overlay plan so they had drawn up this engineering firm in Tampa, and it was beautiful. And the overlays were gorgeous. And we had laid it all out for the citizens to see it, and nobody showed up. So we had one meeting, and then council was like, all right, that's a waste of time. We're not going to spend any more resources on that. And they cut us loose. So, but it really could have been something special. It still can be something special. We just have to kind of have focus. So that's why it was such a fan of what Ryan was trying to do. He was trying to move something forward finally.
We
So
need to fix that.
thank you. Wow, that's not even digital signs. That's how vague that is.
I can't find the word digital at all, and that's the only thing I found.
Well, that's interesting.
Who's this from?
Newport Richey.
Literally. They have blinking flashing.
I do like number 6, what they put on there. Signs in violation of this section shall be removed, altered, or repaired in accordance with the provisions hereby within 90 days. I love that. That actually helps code enforcement directly. I mean, I don't like the fact that there's no verbiage regarding digital at all, especially when we went such a case for us to have digital.
They don't have the digital line definition. I don't think that I can't find a word in the code at all. And their definition of illuminated is any sign containing integral artificial illumination, or a sign which is artificially illuminated from an exterior source, or any sign containing electric wiring.
That's
like
about as
the
vague as
light
it gets.
shining up at the sign. Is that what you're saying? Like a light from the ground shining up at the sign?
That's how they define illuminated, and then they have those provisions, but I don't really know.
That would be more inclined to take what you would, and clean it up as opposed to adopt what Newport Richey did, because this is not. That's very vague. I mean, that doesn't even say the word digital on it. I agree with Eric regarding the time limit thing. we thought that was ridiculous the first time. That's why we dropped to 15 seconds. But the static loop thing that's a problem, because as consumers change, which we see every single day, if you're a business owner, you understand how it changes constantly. It's gone from 2 years ago, it went from signage to handhelds, right? So they don't even look at the signs half the time now. But if there's something that's there,
Well, you can just remove the paragraph about it being static.
I would take 1 and 2 both out.
You can do that.
Alleviate the time issue. So it's not so we're not policing that. If you're I hate to use the word stupid, but if you're an inept business owner, you think a 5-second sign is going to get you anywhere, go for it.
Then it becomes flat. It becomes flashing. Like they kind of cover it here. No flashing, blinking,
Right.
flickering. So if it's changed too quick, it becomes a flash, right? So,
Right. Yeah, I would be more inclined to just take 1 and 2 out and keep our verbiage regarding digital.
If you take one out, you're eliminating the flashing, right? I don't think that says that anywhere else. So if you don't want to control the time, but you want to make sure it's still not, distract. I mean, you do have language about it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Actually, I think all the other language really will be more about light, not distraction from display.
Well, you could just remove the digital display shall be static loop only. You can take that verbiage out and still leave everything else there, because that would allow for video or images changing and transitioning. So if Catches wanted to use, for instance, their new board, and they have a Friday, they want to change a Friday special that shows fish and something else, and transitions between the two, it would give them the ability to do that.
If we take that first part out, then say there shall not be any illumination that moves, appears to move, blinks, fades, rolls, shines, dissolves, flashes, scrolls, shows animated movement or change in the light intensity during the static display period. Messages shall not give an appearance or optical illusion of movement or 3D display. There shall be no special effects between messages. You want to keep that?
Take that out.
Take that out too?
Yeah.
The key is that they're not interactive. That's a big part. We don't want interactive signs.
QR code is interactive.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think the QR code on the side of 19 when you're driving south is a good idea.
No, I don't think
You're doing one of these deals. Yeah, that's not a great idea. So I think that desk needs to stay. So, and then I think QR codes in the back of vehicles is distracting enough, and people are now putting them like this in the back of their cars.
But that relates to all businesses, then, right? Interactive.
Sure.
If you want to add any language about, they want to take don't limit their time, like you said, if they want to put it up there for a second, then good for them, good luck. But do you want to do anything about concerning anything that looks like it's kind of flashing if it's going too quickly? I don't have to. I don't have a preference. Just had that, and that's been removed. So I want to make sure you don't want to remove that in addition
Well,
to the
I
other
think
things.
somebody might get cute with it though and do a whole bunch of
So
quick
do you want
flashes and then it stops and then it flashes again or something.
Do you want to limit the time then to like 10 seconds? Yeah, 10 seconds is a
I
lot.
thought 15 was fine.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. And this is 10 seconds. Starting now. That's 10 seconds. That's a long time. Especially when you're in moving traffic.
That would be the
That would be the shortest duration they could use. Lori?
Yeah, switch to 10 seconds.
Matt?
Okay, so we're going to leave
Not 10 minutes.
10 seconds.
Not
That's
10
nice
minutes.
and slow. So we're going to leave to.
Lord needs a little extra time.
I know, I'm slow.
No more horse and buggies in Newport Richey. So,
So we're going to leave paragraph 2, change 15 seconds to 10 seconds. We're still removing paragraph 1.
I think so.
Right.
I think so. That's about as progressive as it gets without having no language whatsoever. So,
That's all I had.
any other questions, concerns, comments?
Just for clarification, are these both moving to council now?
The sign code, yes, I'll make the changes and that can go to council for first. I guess I'll talk to the city manager whether he wants to do a discussion first or a first reading, but yeah, that's going to go to council. The WOD needs to go to council not as an ordinance, but as they need to guide P&Z on what to do. Discussion. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that these were moving forward.
Yes.
Any motion?
Actually, for the sign code, let's do a motion because that's going to go forward as an ordinance. Yes. Thank you for asking that.
All right. Do I have a motion regarding the sign code
With the noted changes
with the noted changes, to accept the noted changes?
to go to council.
I make a motion, we approve this and recommend it to the council for the sign changes as discussed today.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. And do I have any other motions? That's the very important one.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
What was the motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
She whispered it over there. You said the most important.
On a motion to let poor Ashley go home.
I'm stuck
No, yeah, we
here.
have a meeting tonight. So
Are you guys council tonight?
yeah.
Council on CRA.
Oh dear God. You got some
Sorry.
NyQuil or Dayquil
I
or
will be going to this.
That'll go. some coffee, a little bit of whatever else you can give her?
Whatever I can get her. I'm gonna talk to Matt afterwards to see if he has any to help her out.
Yeah, God, yeah. Matt's painkillers? Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I got a couple.